It is April 26th, 2026, around a little after noon, on a Sunday, a quiet Sunday. And we're going to discuss relationship dynamics. We're going to discuss the relationship dynamics specifically, if I haven't said in other videos, but the male and female sexual relationships, right? And the power dynamics involved, and mainly one of the main things we discuss is the dual mating strategy of women. They have the alpha seed side, the alpha bang, get the genes of the hot, strong guy, and also the beta male provider side, which is, they need resources to support themselves. So we're going to discuss that, and it'll help people do better in relationships. And I think you should be the alpha bang side, not the beta male provider side. And this criminal case I'm going to talk about, that's what I've been using as a backdrop of these cautionary tales, to kind of look at what happens when you're, the beta male provider. You don't seem to be rewarded, So, and what I mean by rewarded is with respect, a woman that respects you, And if you don't have her respect, you don't have love. When you don't have her love and respect, I say you're in danger, right? So, it's important. These things are important because we've seen men lose their lives. Great men, extremely accomplished men. Men at the top of their career, men that have lots of means of money, which means you can be successful in some areas of your life, but you can be, a miserable failure at others, right? And that's all of us, but one thing you don't want to fail at is relationships with women, because, it can be, an exercise in brutality to yourself. I mean, women get disgusted by men who are weak. As it's a feature, not a bug, as they should. I mean, you just need to know these things. If you don't know that a woman is disgusted by your weakness, by your inability to be assertive or stand on business or get stuff done, to be flaky. I mean, they're not going to respect you. They're also not going to respect a man who doesn't value himself. If you don't value yourself, why should she? Women want a hero. Women want a champion that they can get behind. They say, one of these things they say is, if you had like 100 women in a room, they want the best man, or if you have 100 men in a room and one woman, they want the best man in that room. If you have 100 women in a room and one man, he wants to bang all the women. I believe that's how it goes. But anyway, so it basically means women look for, the best guy, and I've said it to women or whatever before, and they're like, oh yeah. Now, as we know, but that doesn't mean that you simp for them. That doesn't mean that, you don't get your return on investment, that doesn't mean, but what it does mean is you need to know what women are attracted to. If you don't know, just like they need to know what we're attracted to, just like we said before, a lot of women don't, a lot of women are like, I got my money, I got my house, but we're just not, that doesn't impress us, and they don't even realize it, take a obese rich woman and, see if she gets anybody. I mean, you have those Facebook memes where it's like, it's an old guy, Bill Belichick, right? He's got that hot chick or whatever, but he's 70 years old, right? But take a 70-year-old woman who's, fat and ugly. It's going to be hard, even her. Men don't care about her money, we just don't, But anyway, I digress. But the criminal case we're going to use today, so we can get off of that, is we're going to use the root beer float murder. And going to discuss that case and show how, in that case, he was a beta male provider, and he was not respected. He was definitely not loved, and it's diabolical how much he was disrespected, how much evil was around him. So this involves three people. Harold Allen, his wife of 1.5 years, who I even hate to call her his wife. I think she scammed him into that, but we'll go further into that. And her daughter, Ashley Jones, her adult daughter, Ashley Jones. Those are your three characters. Ashley Jones and her mother, Marsha Allen, they were thick as thieves as far as their activity or as far as their partnership. They used to text each other every day, and then Ashley came to live with Harold, and she brought her daughter, and he accepted her daughter with no problem. And he actually let her daughter live there, and he said, "You can call me Grandpa." You know, I mean, how many times have we heard that before? You know, I mean, here you go, deciding with his daughter. You know, call me Grandpa. I mean, that's a loving guy. You know, that's a great guy. You know, he was a big boy. You know, that's again, you guys, you got to get jacked. You know, I'm just gonna say it. You got to be in great shape. Why not? You got to be healthy. To be in the dating space, you got to be healthy. You know, and that means you got to eat right. You got to sleep right. You know, take your vitamins. You know, you got to get out in the sun. You got to have social relationships. That's all goes to your health. You know, and if you have negative relationships in your lives, get rid of those. And your self-esteem. It's all, you know. Your success in dating it is you. If you feel like crap, if you don't feel good, if you don't look good, you know, how are you going to be confident around a woman? How are you going to be able to talk to a woman? You know, she's going to see your weakness. And women, like I said, they hate it. They're disgusted by it. But anyway, going further in this case, this happens in Indiana. It's in the southern part of Indiana. It's a rural part of Indiana. Again, how does that affect her? What can we draw from that? It's, you know, being in rural areas, it limits your dating options. So, you know, Harold's like almost got the trifecta here, you know. He's not in good shape, not in good health, and he's in a rural part of Indiana. So I'm sure he just wasn't flooded with, you know, offers to go out and have sex. And, you know, and that matters because when Marcia comes knocking at his high school reunion, you know, she could have been, and she was not that attractive. Trust me, she was not attractive. I mean, whatever. But anyway, you know, but I'm sure, you know, a warm body, a woman, you know, and, you know, that has a vagina, he probably, and that was, you know, acted nice to him, you know, not necessarily was a nice person, but treated him well. You know, she was a predator. I think she preyed on him. I think she knew what she was getting, you know, and they can read you. She probably knew he didn't have options. She can see he's overweight. She can see he's in bad health. She knows where he lives. She knows he doesn't have options. You know, I mean, women know these things, you know. You think you're going to hide them, and you think, oh, well, if I just wait and answer this text, she'll think I'm busy. You know, women know you ain't busy, you know. it just, you know, there's things you give off, you know. You're answering her text at 2 hours on the dot. Here he goes, answering my text 2 hours. They know these things. You know, you can't fake the funk. You can for a little while, you know, fake it till you make it, but not very long. Women will, you know, they're made to discover these things. But anyway, so I think she you know, like I said, she was a predator. At the high school reunion, they said they never talked in high school, but you know, on this day, they seemed to get along, like, you know, whatever. I think she wanted a place to live, a free place to live, and she wanted his life insurance. You know, that might have come a little later, but not much later. And when you're using somebody, you know, just like all these beta male provider cases, in my opinion, when you're using somebody, they're using you as a resource. They're using you as a utility. You know, so, you know, that's your use to them. You know, your use to them is your ability or your resources. That's what they want from you. So, you know, they're not there for your good looks. They're not there. They don't desire you. You know, so, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, it's you know, you need someone. And I always keep saying it. You need someone's genuine burning desire. You know, you know, that's your leverage. That's your leverage to get things you want. You know, you can't get things you want just by, you know, asking for it or whatever. You know, but, you know, so, you know, she went in there with an agenda. You know, she went in there with an agenda, and you know, to I think, you know, have his resources, have a place to stay. And then what did she do? She moved her daughter in. She moved her granddaughter in. I mean, you know, in relationships, I'd be very, very fucking careful with, you know, moving a granddaughter in, you know, moving their kids in. I mean, there's, you know, you're asking for it. You're adding to, you know, the dynamics that may, you know, cause stress in your relationship. So just be very careful. once again, call me grandpa, I don't think that, women, I don't think that they see it like that. I don't think, a girl, I'll call her, you call him daddy, I don't know. I just, yeah, and women know who the daddies are of their kids, and when they know who they just. I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps if you're trying to, just have that dynamic. I'm daddy. No, they know you ain't. They know you ain't. So anyway, but once again, it also is. Just think about it. As guys, we think differently as women. As the beta male provider side, I've thought about this way before. I've been a stepdad before, and we think that, okay, well, I've taken on her kids, or I've taken on her granddaughter, like Harold did. He moved the daughter in. He moved the granddaughter in. Call me grandpa. Now, we will put that as, look at what I'm doing. Look, I'm showing you I love you. We all, tend to show that we love someone in a different way, men and women, right? But women are going to be like, okay, thanks, I like it. But, it doesn't get, my vagina moist. And, it just, I like it. I mean, it's just like us. If a woman had a cool townhouse, but was kind of frumpy, it's like, the cool townhouse is added benefit, but you're frumpy. I mean, it's just like, that's them on beta male providership. It's like, yeah, it's cool. Your townhouse is cool, but if you lose it, we don't care if it was a hot chick, banging baddie, we don't care where they live, So, but anyway, that's just, digress a little bit. But, so what ends up happening is, and I say disgusted, and I think this is all women. Now, they're not going to get as disgusted as this lady where, she's like, screw it. What can I get from him? Well, she figures out he has a $120,000 life insurance policy, and Harold was an accomplished guy. He played the guitar. He taught himself how to play the mandolin, I believe. He rode Harleys, looked like a cool guy. Now, it did look like he let himself go. When I say that, you got to keep your foot on the gas. This is another thing I always say, keep your foot on the gas, because, like I said, he lived in a rural part of Indiana, like whatever, and they're going to know, what your options are. If a woman knows you banging bad, if she thinks the other women are going to like you, she's going to work harder. Trust me. She's going to know there's competition out there. I've been in these situations. So, but anyway, but it wasn't like he was a dunce. He had skills. He had, good guy. He was apparently good at his job. He was in the auto parts business. He helped make them, like one of these companies that, made I believe catalytic converters and oil pumps, whatever. I think that's what it was. But, and they said he's really good at it, and loved by his family. Had a very close family. That was one of the things they brought up. Once again, loving guy, loving family. I mean, if you were on a dating app, this would sound like it's a hit of a man. A little overweight, but loving family, kind. Oh, here we go. Here's Harold's dating app. Kind, intelligent, compassionate. I mean, you got to be grandpa of this girl that ain't yours and bringing them. Kind, compassionate, intelligent. He was funny too. Funny. What else was he? He liked to communicate. Everyone said they did. They said he liked to worry about other people's problems. He would ask what's wrong. He was empathetic. I mean, how many times you heard all this? This sounds like we don't even need pictures, right, ladies? It's right here, this description I'm giving of Harold, Now, okay, he does have a little bit of health problems, okay, a little bit. He's pretty overweight. He's kind of obese, You're still okay, though. He's got all that other stuff, right? Look, man, women are like, yeah, right. Dude, don't trust all that other crap. Nah, man, nah, Because they can't put on their dating app, I need a, super large and throbbing eggplant to just rock my world. I mean, they're not going to say that. They're not going to say it in public because it doesn't sound good, Sounds better to say, what we say, a reputation management. And I get it. I mean, I know. But, if you ever wondered why, size doesn't matter. Always size matters. But women can't. You think a woman's going to say that? Do you think a woman's going to say, yeah, I got banged by a guy with a small small dick one time, and it was okay. And I got banged with a guy with a just super, super hard one, and that was so good. You'd be like, oh, that's what they're worried about, right? And I will say this, I laugh about this, and but sometimes girls they try to be nice, ladies worry about our feelings, and they'll say, it's happened to me, but not that I worry about the eggplant size, but whatever. But anyway, but you'll still say, oh yeah, yours is perfect. Yours is good. I like yours. They try to be nice, Now in high school they're nicer. They say, oh, how big it was, whatever. But then they'll say, what really sucks are those really big ones. Those hurt. And you're like, oh, come on, like, don't say that. Like, I think if you a player out here, everybody's heard that. Everybody's heard that. Come on, man. Yeah, it's kind of like the girl, like, oh, it's okay, honey. I don't like guys with big muscles, And you think you have anyway. I digress. So anyway, but after a while, Ashley and Marcia, they end up he ended up dying. He ended up going to the emergency room several times and for gastrointestinal problems. Well, probably because he was being poisoned. They tried several different methods. They tried some, I can't remember what it was, honey pot something. It had a bitter taste. They tried to put it in brownies. They even took a picture of him eating half the brownie, and Ashley sent a text back saying, halfway gone, text me when it's all gone, LOL. And he started complaining of stomach pain. I mean, that's not, dude, I'm telling you, they don't care. And I'm sure the texts to him are really nice, But again, he also had a house, and he had a lot of property as far as like guns and stuff like that. I mean, and I don't think she was looking for big money. She just wanted whatever she could get. That's how much she didn't care. He had jewelry, something like that. I don't know, and motorcycles. But again, I mean, probably his estate might have been $300,000. I mean, I don't know. But again, not worth so much. Come on. But anyway, they're sending text messages back and forth. They tried, they ordered online, 3 or 4 different things that could, do harm to somebody, right? And they're testing it out. And they're sending, when they got their text messages back, they're sending messages back and forth like, how'd that one work? Or I wish he'd just go now, And apparently I believe the night he took the ethylene glycol, the antifreeze that was put in his root beer float, why it's called the root beer float murder. It said apparently his daughter has a best friend, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but she has a best friend who's a black guy, roughly in his mid-20s. Well, she had him burglarize her mom's home when her mom was gone. I mean, look at these people. And there were 2 people in this show that talked about, talked about Harold, and they loved him very much. It was his brother, and it was his wife, and they talked about that. And they said that it's too bad he was surrounded by people who didn't love him. That's what they said. It was too bad, and it's true. And all of us can attest to that. It's too bad that we're sometimes, you got to be careful of that. And there's people around you that love you, that, you cannot be, that's why I say men need to know that this is going back to other stuff I said. When it's corroborated, when things are corroborated, it means they are true. It means they are factual, So corroboration is, what have I said? It's important to know from a man when he's respected by a woman and when he's not respected by a woman and when he's not loved by a woman. And what are these people telling you? His family members that now have lost their brother and their brother-in-law who loved him very much. They said, and I mean, think about that. And it was too bad. He should have been protected. It was too bad that he was surrounded by people he thought loved him, but didn't. They were evil. I mean, just think about it. I mean, I get a bit intense about it, but it's like, this guy thinks these people care about him, and he's caring about them as reciprocation, and they give 2 F's because he can't identify it. And anybody listening, you need to know. That's why you need to know this stuff. That's why you need to be getting banged. I'm telling you, I'm going to say it with intensity. You need to be getting banged by your woman. She needs to want to bang you. If you're in a sexless marriage, get the hell out. They don't like you. I'm sorry, I got to get a little dude. It's ridiculous. If she's not doing what you tell her, on a constant basis, if she's unwilling to do things you tell her, unwilling, unfaithful, untrue, if she's lying to you, if she's not paying attention to you, if she doesn't care to see you, those are things that tell you she doesn't respect you. She's correcting you in front of other people. She's talking bad about you in front of you or when you're not around. That's an indication. I'm just telling you these things. You need to know these things, right? But one of the biggest things in sexual relationships, if your woman likes you, she needs to be banging you on a regular basis, and she needs to want to bang you. If you're getting starfish sex, get up from that. Get up and get out. Go to the gym. Don't bitch about it either. Just get up, say no words, go grab your gym bag, and just head it. Be real cool about it. Hey, nah, man, this ain't for me. This ain't for dude. You want to take the power back? If you have any power in a sexual relationship, go get halfway through a blowjob, or get halfway through sex with your girl. And if it ain't good, get up. Get up and say, I'm not enjoying this. Watch her. She'll know now that crap don't control you. Now, if you get up and whine and cry, and now you're screwed. Now, just unaffected. You're gonna go do things that benefit you now. This little half-ass shit you're giving me, it's not benefiting me. I'm gonna go work out. That's gonna benefit my life, and and if it goes on further, start banging someone else. I'm sorry, you need to, So, but anyway, I digress once again. But that's okay. I'm giving out gems of information. So, but anyway, and I bet Harold wasn't getting banged. I mean, how can he? They're getting poisoned, having gastrointestinal problems, right? So anyway, after a while, I guess they figure out that ethylene glycol will work, right? And so they get some ethylene glycol or antifreeze, and they plan on making a root beer float. And the guy that did the burglary to her house, now the burglary was set up. Now, let's go to the burglary. Is so Marsha Allen, the wife of Harold Allen, who passed away. He's going to get killed by the ethylene glycol, the antifreeze in the root beer float. Spoiler alert. But so she, she after that happens, she gets, I guess, a life insurance policy, right? And excuse me, but so she was giving her daughter $1,000 from that life insurance policy, and each month and when that ran out, the daughter decided to do the burglary. So I guess this daughter decided she needed a little more money for her cut, right? I mean, these two, I mean, they're laughing and joking about him being in distress the night of, I mean, and if anyone saw the Judy Church, excuse me with this cough, I got something in my throat, but anyway, if anyone saw the Judy Church trial and you saw her boyfriend, I don't want to watch it again, but he's writhing in like pain, and he's not comfortable from the antifreeze that she made him drink, and it poisoned him, secretly, right? And there's 3 ways women will hit you, usually on a murder. Once again, excuse me, but it's they'll poison you because they do indirect methods. Women don't like confrontation because they're the more vulnerable sex. They'll shoot you in your sleep. Once again, excuse me, or they'll get a hitman. Rarely do a woman just come in front of you and just bam, But anyway, I'll get this taken care of. But anyway, so but in this case, they decided to poison him, and the ethylene glycol apparently affects your brain. It swells it, so you act like a drunk. It's like being drunk, and that's what that one video looked like in the Judy Church case. And it's just horrible to look at. And apparently, that's what he was pretty much doing, Harold. And they're just like, hey, should we call an ambulance? Nah, I mean, can you believe that? It's crazy. But again, he didn't realize that these people, did not respect him. He did not identify as things. I'm sure there were signs, So yeah, I mean, they had the root beer float, and he passes away. They ruled it like a heart attack or something, because it does affect your heart and affect your kidneys really bad. It's a really bad substance for your body, but it's sweet, so it can go into like Gatorades, or it can go into like I said, root beer float to make it. You can't even taste it. You don't even know you're drinking it. And so, so anyway, but they look at, so when the burglary happens, that's when they figure out that this might have been a murder, because one of the Ashley Jones' best friend, that's the daughter of the murder suspect, she has her best friend go burglarize her mom's house. And you could tell she didn't know her mom had surveillance cameras. And you could tell in the video, like, they're going around, they're using the safe of the, they're putting in the combination for the safe, and they know exactly where to go. I mean, it's pretty obvious, when you get into law enforcement, when it's not a real crime. It's like fast food restaurants. A lot of times those are set up robbery. I worked in the robbery division for 2 years. Those are set up robberies. Actually, I digress. There was a robbery with Taco Cabana where I was working one night, and I worked overnight, and I just got lucky. About an hour later, I'm driving. I see this car, and it starts weaving, and it got nervous, I guess. It was starting to weave all over the place. And I guess they were looking in the rearview mirror or looking behind them. I'm like, what the hell is this car doing, And I pull it over, and it's got a bank bag with Taco Cabana receipts and $2,000 in cash. So, and this guy knew apparently someone at the restaurant. So, they had been robbed at gunpoint by him, and it was set up because he knew the person. They had him do it. But anyway, I digress on that. So anyway, but this case, they knew it was a fake burglary. And the guy says that burglarized the house. Yeah, I might have burglarized it, but he said, who you really want? They would say, you want Marcia Allen, Harold Allen's wife. She killed him. That's a murder, right? And they're like, really? He's like, yeah. And he gives them, like, she made a root beer float, and she put ice cream in it. She put sprinkles on it, and she put whipped cream on it. I mean, he knew exactly, because Ashley Jones, the daughter, was there when it happened, because she was living with them. Told him exactly how it happened. So that's the case, right? But I mean, that's crazy, so they bring her in to talk to her. They act like it's part of the burglary investigation. Part of my burglary investigation? Sure, I'll come in, because she's a selfish, sociopathic piece of crap. Marcia Allen comes in, who did it, and she's like, oh, tell them all about the burglary, and her daughter did it. I mean, it's thick as thieves too. A buddy of mine on the police force used to say, there's no honor among thieves, and there's not. Don't think you're going to do a crime and everybody's going to stay quiet like y'all said. Nope. When your butt's sitting in there about to do 20 years in jail, you trust me. They ain't gonna vouch for you. They ain't. People look out for themselves. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's a feature, not a bug. Just trust me. Don't do that. But anyway, so she basically kind of was saying that her daughter did it, and then they hit her with, hey, there's something else we want to talk about. We want to talk about, Harold Allen, your ex-husband dying, what's up with that, And she said, I didn't murder him, And, yeah, but she said, she denied it, and then they said, they did an autopsy. Well, they did. See, half-truths. Women tell half-truths. They did do an autopsy, but they didn't do a toxicology. So that's what they need to do. I don't think they do toxicology with a natural death. They thought it was, at least. And when I think it is, I think they try to save money, but they hold the blood. So the guys, the officer says, well, they held the blood or something like that. We're going to test the blood. Well, he said, we'll have it in several days, right? Well, we all should not do evil. Don't cheat the game, and cheating the game is taking someone else's money. Marcia Allen goes home and takes some pills and kills herself, and says, "You win, Ashley," to her daughter. Now that's a sociopath, I think, trying to say, trying to keep it out of, it's basically not taking blame, right? But yeah, she kills herself. Anyway, but yeah, so to avoid the just the bad light and all that, and get, she knew who did it. She knew she was gonna get outed. I mean, if that's not a guilty, if that's not consciousness of guilt, but think about it. She meets him at it's a review. She meets him at a high school reunion, gets this guy to marry her, takes $120,000 from his life insurance, tries to poison him several times, is successful, joking and laughing about it with her daughter. You know, I mean, and this is a good guy, a loving man, a kind man. All those things we see in those dating app, BS narratives that women don't give a damn about. You know, they don't give a damn about kindness and loyalty. Not if you alpha bang, they don't. Not if you alpha bang, they don't. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to be, negative about it. I'm just telling you the way life is, right? So, well, they bring in her daughter, Ashley, and they start talking to her, and she's like, what her excuse was, well, I guess I just, I'm led by my mom. I just do whatever my mommy says, and, I get, the officer's like, well, you were there when he was writhing in pain, and, well, I told my mom to call 911, but, she said, I told my mom, should we do this? And, she didn't feel bad about it. And, if women don't like you, they don't care. And this is a guy that was calling her daughter, his step granddaughter. He told Ashley, have her daughter call him grandpa, and you're killing him. I mean, beta male providers. That anyone want to sign up for that? And I'm not saying that but that everyone ends in your demise of your life. But I am saying that it's not respected. It's just not. And again, it could be they take your house. It could be that they take your kids. It could be that they ruin your reputation. They just don't care. They don't care. When you're a beta male provider, if someone's succeeding out there in your beta male provider role, great for you. I want, that's fine. So you don't need to tell me all about it. But you do that. I'm going to do it my way, and hope everyone listening wants to do it my way. But, and so Marcia knows she did it. Ashley Jones knows she did it too, in cahoots with her mom. And she ends up taking a plea deal, and she pleads to 50 years. She did 50 years. So she got 50 years in jail. And obviously she's serving that now. So, no one wins in this situation. You lost a life. You lost the life of Harold Allen, and Marcia feeling bad about it. She lost a life. And so, everyone needs to go to their alpha bangs, women too, And then here's a kicker is Ashley Jones, who's now doing 50 years for that, also had a husband who died of a heart issue. Well, it looks like, I don't know if they're going to investigate it because she's already doing 50. And that's pretty much a life sentence because she's like 35, so 85 she can get out. But it's good. Her husband got poisoned too. I mean, isn't that crazy? Because one of the text messages between her mom, they weren't, obviously they weren't able to get all of them from when her husband died, Ashley's. But it said that my ex-husband or late husband was only 120 pounds. So that's why the poison wasn't working. They had to up the dosage. This is diabolical the way they worked. And obviously not all women are like. But we saw this in another case I done. Remember the snake case? If you haven't seen it, look at it. The snake case is on there. One of my videos. But Ben Reddick, he with another woman. See, women. They like to be on missions together. I'm just saying. I mean, we're not all killers. No, you're not. But hey, man, I don't trust a single one. I'm sorry, dude. I love them, but I love them to where I love them where I love them at. I mean, nah, man. So anyway, but yeah, in the Ben Rennick case, my snake case. Get in here. In the snake case, they said, the pills didn't work. They chopped up, I guess, the oxycodone or whatever it was, and she's like, he was complaining about stomach problems, but she told her friend it didn't work. That was the other case. But again, the poison case, 2 women are working on it together. You connect the dots. So what do we learn in this case? We learned that, women will be predators. You know, women will, you know, and normally the methods they use, if you're going to get murdered, is they'll use poison. They'll shoot you in your sleep, be indirect, or they'll, they'll hire a hitman, right? But the main things you need to know is, are you, and I've said it, and go back and watch the video, the signs of being disrespected. Because when a woman loves you, I mean, and respects you, like I've had that, you know, and it took me probably 43, 44 years of my life to truly get it. Now, some I got it in the beginning, then I lost it maybe because I didn't know how. But I mean, they will do whatever. I've had stuff bought for me. They spend all kinds of time with me. They want to see me all the time. You know, sex is just unbelievable. It's all the time. I mean, it is so easy, and that's kind of what helped me figure all this stuff out. Was why are some relationships easy, and some relationships I have are just difficult? The cord was crazy. Well, because they didn't like me enough. That wasn't the alpha bang in her life, you know? But when you're the alpha bang in her life, she knows, you know, she wants to do everything in her power to keep you, you know? And it's just the way life is, you know? I mean, they're soldiers. They're submissive soldiers, and when they will follow you to the ends of the earth. Women are great like that. They're softly powerful. You know, it's none of this, you know, sprinkle BS. I mean, that's all BS. All BS, you know, you know, we see, I mean, the guy's giving this lady a house. Harold gave a house, take care of her granddaughter and her daughter. That's a sprinkle, I think. And what's he get for that sprinkle? Nothing. He's a victim of a murderer. So, you know, I mean, you know, the good thing about being alpha bang is, if you alpha bang, if I die, this eggplant goes with me. And I've said, you know, a man with a good deed, I did another video, will not be found on a burn pile. No, sir. Because that deed's going to be in that burn pile. A woman that likes your deed, telling y'all now, it can't just be that. You know, you got to have social skills. You got to be, you know, got to have other things, you know, but figure them out, you know. They're different for every woman to a certain degree, but, you know, I think I've made my case on not being a beta male provider. But I think that's what we got for this one today, and we'll stop it there, and we'll see you on the next one.